Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Instead of doing his job, Michael Matheson, on the days that he does bother turning up and going into the office and sitting there all day playing on his iPad or something with the door firmly closed and locked, he doesn't pay attention to what's going on in the NHS. And specifically, he doesn't pay attention or indeed care what's going on in A&E. There is a report here from a senior medic who has pointed out that there is at least one patient who was forced to wait 3 days in A&E. 3 days. What a way to run a health service. How many people are dying, sitting, waiting, because Matheson is too busy knocking one out in his office rather than actually doing his job and getting people employed and working in the NHS. It is absolutely awful. And all the money they're paying at double and sometimes treble the rate for agency and bank staff should be pumped in to actually employ full-time doctors and nurses so that this sort of thing doesn't happen. But of course it won't, because they quite literally don't care. It is cheaper for people to die than to be cured. That seems to be the way they're trying to save money. Let's have a look. So before we get into it, can I ask if you have yet to subscribe, please do so. We are so very close now, less than 40 at the time of doing this video, away from 9,000 subs. It's a big number and it'd be great to get to. Especially as I really wanted to get to it before Christmas, but it's just dragged out. And I do know, of course, that sometimes YouTube throws people out automatically. Do please check, if you are a sub, that you are still a sub and haven't been unsubscribed by YouTube. Anyway, getting into this. A Scot waits more than 3 days at A&E as the SNP's NHS lurches into the winter crisis. Now, it's going, of course, to get far worse. There's a big cold snap due. We've had how many storms, but there's a big cold snap due apparently. Once that comes, the elderly will suffer. There'll be slips and falls and breaks. The NHS is going to collapse under its own weight unless far more resources are put in. But of course the NHS aren't going to get any more resources because they've already spent the money on independence causes. That's how it is, people. Your life is not as important as their push for independence. Watch as your child succumbs to, some form of cancer and, dies in your arms. But at least be thankful that independence is still on the table. That, of course, is basically all the SNP counts for. They don't care. Literally don't care. Michael Matheson was blasted after a top medic revealed that there is chaos in the NHS, with one patient forced to wait more than 80 hours to be seen, with ambulances piling up outside hospitals. And of course, once those ambulances are at the hospital, it means that they cannot go and treat someone else. There could be an emergency and there's nothing there. Anyway, a patient was forced to wait more than 3 days in an A&E in Scotland as the SNP's NHS lurched into a winter crisis. A prominent medic also claimed that 30 ambulances queued outside one hospital as they were unable to offload patients due to staff inside being overwhelmed. 30 ambulances. 30 people out there in the real world waiting for an ambulance, waiting for someone to come and help them, maybe save their lives. But because the NHS is falling apart, they're going to die. These people are going to die in the streets because there aren't any ambulances there to take to hospital, because there aren't any doctors and nurses in the hospital, because nobody is putting the resources in. Some sick or injured Scots are being stuck in unmanned corridors or handed emergency call buzzers. Indeed, the little doorbells, they're giving them doorbells. Ding, ding. Ding, ding, ding. If ever you see Breaking Bad and the old boys had the stroke in the wheelchair. Ding, 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 ding. That's what it's coming to in the NHS. Dr. Fiona Hunter, who is a consultant in emergency medicine and the vice chairwoman of the Royal College of Emergency Medicine Scotland, warned that more incidents like the patients waiting 83 hours in A&E would follow over the coming days and weeks. and she hit out assurances from the Scottish Government, who said that the health service had been bolstered to cope with winter viruses and the festive holidays. Well, I don't believe a word of that, do you? Don't believe that they've been bolstered. I don't get any assurances from the Scottish Government. Far from it. I think they are deliberately, and I make this clear, I think they are deliberately underfunding the NHS to create this issue of long wait times, because it is cheaper, as I say, for people to die than it is for them to be cured. And if they can save money to squirrel it away in foreign bank accounts ready for when the regime crashes, all the better. And then they say, oh look, we're giving you an extra 100 million. Yes, that's a below inflation rise and is therefore a cut. But they'll make it out as though they're being beneficial. Oh, look at what we're doing. We're throwing you a bone. Go and chew on that. They don't care. They literally don't care. Miss Hunter told the Times, it's pretty dire. There is grave concerns from all boards. They have been very, very long bed waits. Patients spending many, many more hours than they should be in A&E. Call buzzers have been issued to patients queuing for beds in Edinburgh Royal Infirmary, as well as hospitals across Ayrshire and Arran, so they can summon busy staff while they wait. But concerns have been raised about the safety of some of these people. Nobody's checking on them. They're not in a secure location. They can be lying on a trolley for hours and hours and hours. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Ms Hunter said the majority of the patients that we think require admission will be frail and vulnerable. They are sick. That is why they're coming into hospital. We're expecting them to be admitted to a hospital bed with hospital care, not placed in an empty corridor that is unstaffed and left to die. We should not be relying on the patient to press a buzzer. It is not a safe idea. It is not something the college would advocate. And she noted that the same patients given the buzzers would have no easy access to lavatories and no privacy to change clothes. And this is it. This is what the NHS is coming to, because the evil Shona Robison decides that money has to go into independence and not into patient care. Because, hey, they're not us. They're just the hoi polloi. They're just the masses. The normies. We don't care about them. They die. Well, whatever. It's the price worth paying for independence, isn't it? Jacqueline Nichol, the site director for Crosshouse Hospital in Kilmarnock, confirmed that this policy has been introduced. She said, as a safety measure, we have A&E patients given buzzers installed and additional nurse call buttons for patients in the emergency department out with the bayed areas. And while they're waiting to be admitted, this allows patients to easily attract attention from the clinical team if they need assistance. What if they're so bad they need assistance and they can't ring the bell because they're so bad? Who's checking on them? How often are they being checked? What are they doing with the bodies? How many people are dying? Let's see those numbers. And let Shona Robison account for every single one of them. The winter season, hospitals are being overrun by COVID cases. Don't believe that. Along with flu and children dehydrated after severe vomiting bugs. Ms Hunter claims that the college was told by the SNP executive that better social service cover was in place to help smooth discharges and create space onwards. But this has not happened. And it won't happen because social care comes out of council budgets, and the councils have been strapped for cash and basically been told to go fuck themselves. They said, we're giving a council tax freeze. Oh good, are you paying up the £1 billion that we need? No, we're giving you 130, 140 million. Not enough. And so all the redundancy notices are going out. Social care, not going to happen. They're just going to lump all these people into hospitals. People who would otherwise be released into social care aren't. Therefore, the whole NHS is about to collapse. And people will die in droves. And we're talking thousands. Now, never mind the 5,500 that's being investigated for corporate murder under the likes of Freeman and Sturgeon. We're now looking at a new one under Robison, Matheson and Yousaf. And we're talking maybe tens of thousands of people being murdered by policy. Coming up. How many people will have to die waiting to be seen? How many people will die after sitting in the back of an ambulance for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours at a hospital? In the ambulance waiting to get into the hospital? How many people will die in the waiting rooms? How many people have to die alone, uncared for, in their own filth, in a corridor, before, first of all, the government do anything about it. And secondly, the people who vote for the government think, actually, this isn't acceptable. I don't know why I keep voting for these murderers. I don't know why I keep voting for these people who are deliberately doing policies that are killing people. And maybe when the SNP voters start losing children, wives, mothers, they'll suddenly realise that voting for murderers is not the best policy. I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later.